professionally trained, world-class coach. I've got to get up at 4 o'clock in the morning. She fucked me over. I can't believe she fucking did this to me. My language, and this is where I caught it coming around to the story. This is with practice. So I'm literally walking around my house with the new address. She's texting me this because she's working overnight, God bless her soul, right? And my language was, I heard it. My language in my mind was, I think I'm getting pissed. I think I'm getting angry. I think I'm mad. I'm getting mad. I think I'm really pissed off as I'm like storming around the house trying to figure out when I'm going to go back. And I caught it. I heard it because I was getting there. I was talking to myself. I was getting into state to send a nasty text back to my partner.
And when all three of these patterns are engaged, so when he's got that physiology, so that's his breathing, his chest, his shoulders, his face, it's tight, his focus, like that tunnel vision focus, language, what he's speaking out loud, what he's telling himself, disempowering words, when all three of these are engaged, this state, it's an addiction. Becomes very addictive.
So yeah, so I'm creating this state, but the thing was, I wasn't even there, but I was talking myself into it. I think I am. And then I was getting to the place where I am. But then when I heard the language going on in my mind, I was like, whoa. I caught it. And I was like, I'm actually none of those things. I'm not pissed. I'm not angry. I don't feel good. And I think I might be tired. So then I was able to make a different decision. I used a different strategy, right? In the past, in my past relationship, I would have been like, I would have tried to share the pain. But in this, just because I caught the language, I had access to a different strategy. And my strategy was, thanks, I appreciate it. I still wasn't happy about it. I'd be lying if I said I was happy. But I was able to use a different strategy, and I got a far different result. I use that story all the time when I train. I used it at that training the next day. The funny thing is I waited to share that with my partner, I don't know, like a month or two. I'm like, I tell this really funny story at trainings. She doesn't even remember. She has no clue. She doesn't remember the night. She doesn't remember the incident. She doesn't remember sending me the wrong thing. But if I had sent her the what the fuck, I don't feel good, which is what I felt in the moment, she'd remember that. And it would be a story that I wouldn't be sharing with you because I wouldn't be proud of it, right? But I've been in a really crappy relationship before, and I've used really poor state, and I've used really shitty strategies. And so I've grown from that. But it doesn't mean I don't go there sometimes, but I can catch it.
So what was the strategy that you actually used?
What's that? Well, the strategy I used in the moment to respond was the strategy of being nice. Okay. Versus what I really say. And that's the funny thing is because I do share the story with her. I'm like, I tell the story all the time because it really is state. It's triad. Mm-hmm. And she's just like, I don't remember that. But our relationship's amazing because I've never hit her with what sometimes, because we're all humans. We all have varying states. There's no reason that you should always be in a beautiful state all the time. It sounds great, but everybody shifts and moves. It's just how long do you live there? Yeah. Like I could have lived there forever, and then I could have created other stuff, and we would have both lived there. Yeah. And that would have been horrible, horrible. Because the reality is, I adore this person. I really care about them. I just didn't feel very good in that moment. So it's practice.
Gotcha.
It's a very, very long story for practice.
My illusion on it is like just being able to control your reaction.
Yeah. Well, it's one of the things, and I don't know exactly how Tony says it, but it's basically like it's the ability to master your emotions. Yeah. And people get confused because they're like, the perfection thing earlier was great. Well, but I'm not 100%. 100% of the time I'm not in peak state. Well, that's not reality. You're not 100% of the time in peak state. Like if I'm driving down the street, this happened to me recently, I'm driving down the street, going to my workout, very happy that I got up early, and somebody hits me, like I'm irritated in that moment. That's not great. But I don't live there. I don't hop out of the car and start like freaking out. But I'm still not happy that it happened. That's like life. That's reality. Or if somebody takes money from me or something like that, I'm still going to, my state will always shift. All states are important, but it's you choosing the powerful ones that you want to live in, you want to experience the most. Like flow is great, but if you're in flow 100% of the time, guess what happens? It doesn't feel good anymore because you get bored.
Yeah.
So you need some change. Maybe it's flow, and then it's love, and then it's happiness, and then maybe you're upset for a moment. But it's really being able to shift in and out of states, and we're kind of off of what we were talking about, but it's important. And for these things or any of the outcomes that you think about in the back, it is always like, what's the most important state for you in that thing?
Yeah.
Because I bring a far different state to my partner, like this that I'm doing here with you, I do not do with her. Right? I'm not like, I don't do that because it doesn't give me the result that I want in that relationship. So I have a much different state. I'm very caring and loving, and like, you know, I show up a lot quieter. Does that make sense?
Yes, that's awesome.
So for you, it's practicing figuring out a trigger for you that works, can be a good one. Oftentimes, like we work with really successful people, men and women, who they're at work and they're like, you know, like Tony says, they're gladiators at work, and they have to have a trigger to shift into a different state when they go home. Yeah. Because if they show up as a gladiator at home, not so great. Doesn't matter if they're a man or a woman, because there's a different outcome when they get home. So they'll oftentimes have a trigger. We'll have people sit in their cars, or I'll have people have a trigger when they touch their door to walk in. They get in the state.
Awesome.
But it's getting to a space where you choose where you want to live in moments, and that's emotional mastery. Emotional mastery is not always being zen.
No. But going from happiness to progress to content, you know, I'd rather live in those areas than pissed off, closed off.
Yeah.
You know, angry, happy, you know, those extremes.
Yeah, and pissed off versus like progress is probably just a small shift in one of these spots.
Yeah.
A lot of the same physiology probably, like it's one of those things that we talk about, and Steve was saying, like addictive emotions are addictive. Intense emotions addictive.
Yeah.
So for some people, like getting intensely angry is addictive. I use the example of my mother-in-law, true story, is she's really fulfilled, sounds strange, but she's really fulfilled by the deep emotion of depression. Feels really good.
Yeah.
Doesn't feel great to be around her, but it actually fulfills her needs at a pretty high level.
Yeah.
So the strategy I heard, because when you asked what a strategy was, what I heard was gratitude.
Yeah.
Yes. You said thank you, is what you said to her. Whether
Yeah.
you like really went there and meant it.
It's like, thanks. I don't know if I meant it in the moment.
Yeah, but gratitude's
I don't know if I meant it in the moment, but being able to sit back and think like, and actually I've told this story a lot of times, but this is the first time that I've thought about it and really owned it. Owning progress. So my progress. Because the reality is in my past important relationship, I didn't live there a lot. I lived in whatever state showed up for me, and then I just took action from that state. And got really shitty results. Really shitty results.
I noticed also when you were describing the way you were feeling, it came back to what we talked about earlier, because you ask questions, but you ask it of yourself, the way you were feeling.
Yeah.
Right? Am I really feeling that way? Am I really? And then you said, no, I'm tired. So it kind of changed your state, right?
I tell you, I can remember it to this day because I was throwing something away in the kitchen garbage when I was like, it just hit me. It was like, whoa, I don't even feel this way. I'm making it up.
Yeah.
I'm like, and it was funny to me because I was like really trying to get there.
So part of that, so here's a homework assignment for you guys to connect is what is the story you tell yourself about yourself? You know, and that's something that you meditate on. And you guys know what this is right now. And when I say meditate, think and feel. This is so Keith Cunningham, he talks about thinking time. Think. This is something you ask yourself before you fall asleep. Fall asleep, wake up the next day, and you journal. You talked about rituals, what Chris and I do. Yeah. All our clients, they journal. Yeah. Write this down, a life worth living, you journal. Beautiful. A life worth living is worth documenting. A life worth living is worth documenting because you have one story. What is your story? What is the story you tell yourself about yourself? That's the first question. And the second question is, what is the new story?
It's like Date with Destiny.
Pardon?
Date with Destiny.
Yes, absolutely, Kyle. What is the new story?
So, I have a
Yes.
question. The new story could be a made-up story. You just keep repeating daily,
Absolutely, and it's your reality.
even though it's not at the moment it will become.
What will it? How will you feel as a result of focusing on that story, telling yourself the story? So let's say your new story is a made-up story, and then you engage your state. That story is who you are. Then that story becomes you. Think about this for a moment. Meditate. When I say meditate, pause, think, and feel. I love watching movies. Tony, he loves watching movies. He loves going to concerts. He calls it a brain freeze. He'll watch a bunch of movies back to back. And I love movies that are like suspense, thriller type of movies. Not like horror, but like suspense, thriller. You guys, yeah? And so, anyone else like suspense type of movies?
Yeah.
Okay, a few of you. So when you go to a movie theater, right? So there are how many people in a movie theater?
100.
About 100 people? 100 people? And you're watching a suspense thriller type of movie, and something comes up on the screen. What do you hear in the movie? Right? You hear that, yeah? It's on the fucking screen. But people are having a physiological response like it's happening.
Yeah.
Think about that for a moment. You're paying $20. You're driving to the movie theater. You probably already checked the preview, the trailer. You already know what it's about, or you won't be spending the money and your time. You're with 200 other people, strangers, and people are freaking out. Why? Why? Their emotions, they're feeling it. But it's on the screen.
I get scared too.
They're what?
They're in the
Say it
state.
again.
They're in the state.
They're in the state. The body doesn't know the difference. You don't know the difference. They're believing the story. They believe the story so much, they're having a response. Now, can you imagine if you believe that story day in and day out? You kept telling yourself, you kept focusing on the story. It's who you are. That story is you, yes? So much so, we get home, I drive home. I get in bed early, right? I get in bed early. My wife comes into bed. And I look over, her name's Bobby, God bless her. I'm like, hey honey, I'm like, you left the hallway light on, right? And she's like, yeah. I'm like, well, she's like, can you turn it off? I'm like, no. I'm like, you turn it off. You turn it off, right? And no one wants to get out of bed to turn it off because it's a scary movie and I don't want to get out of bed, right? Because this is like 2 hours after watching this scary film. So we both go to bed with the light on. Right? Because, write this down, you guys know it on repetition's a mother skill. Where focus goes, what?
Energy flows.
Where focus goes, energy flows. Right?
When you guys were mentioning, like, what's your story? Like, do you ever use that with clients and then get into where would you be 5 years from now with 10 years? And what would it need to, what would you have to, what, if your news story was there, what type of person would you have to be and where would you be down the line? So when Tony does that as well. And then I was thinking also in the wheel, what, if it's a 5, what would it take to be an 8? And where would my life be? Yeah, where would my life be if I continued telling myself this story?
Yeah.
You're like,
What Kyle's talking about is future pacing.
Yeah.
So we take our clients outside of the moment, outside of the experience, and we drop them 5 years from now. Right? And work backwards 5 years from now. Tony calls it also the 80-year-old rocking chair test. Right? You're 80 years old, you're sitting on the front porch, sitting back, enjoying your iced tea, and you're reflecting back on your life. What in your life are you most proud of? What in your life most fulfilled you? Not achieved, but fulfilled you. And so sometimes our clients are like, I don't know what I want. I don't know what I want to work on, right? So in the moment, they're in a shitty state. So I'm like, okay, you're 80 years old. Now they go in their head, they're thinking, 80 years old, right? Close your eyes. You're sitting on the front porch, rocking back on the front porch. You're looking back, the story of your life, what fulfills you. Then they just start telling you. Right? So all that is we take people and we just shift their state in the moment. Just shift their state in the moment. I remember when I first started coaching with Tony, a lot of our first clients we get assigned are business mastery clients. Any idea why a newer coach would get assigned a business mastery client?
Because work is one of the main area of someone's life.
Sure. Yeah. Work is one of the main areas. Also, part of their business mastery program, you might not know this, or maybe you have if you participated in one of the events, is part of the business mastery program is you get 6 complimentary coaching sessions as part of that package, part of that program. So we call those comp sessions. So those comp sessions are usually assigned to some of our newer coaches. Not always, but some of our newer coaches. It makes sense because it's a contract. Right? Yeah. Now, I remember my first Tony Robbins client, and you can imagine like the training that we went through. It was back then. It was out of. I say this with a very humble heart because I'm so thankful and grateful for everything that I get to do. It was something like out of 4,000 applicants, I got shortlisted down to 700, and then I got screened down to 21, and we almost did 2 years of training. And then they selected 21. They flew us to New York for the last round of the training. They hired 12, and I think right now there's 127 in the world.
Something like that. It's top secret information.
Be careful with your numbers.
Yeah, something like 127.
So start texting again.
And so anyways, my point being, I went through all this extensive training. Everyone believed in me. And my first client, it's called a re-enroll. My first client, their 6 sessions were up. And so part of we have to, Tony says we all have a servant's heart. Yes? You know, we wouldn't be doing what we're doing. We wouldn't be part of a coaching team if we didn't have a servant's heart.
Now, you guys wouldn't be here doing what you're doing if you didn't have a service.
Because if you think about SAS, how many of us actually have security background? Very few, if probably none. Well, Kyle does. He also has the size. That being said, you all have a servant's heart. It's mission first. And for our coaching clients, we have to, as much as we have intent, we have a servant's heart, like Tony talked about, is we get paid on results. So our clients are investing in receiving a result. We have to deliver a result. We can have good intentions, and we have to get measured somehow as a coach. Does that make sense? Mm-hmm. And one of the measurements as a coach for Tony is how often do our clients re-up with us. It's called a re-enroll, that our clients is like, yes, I want to stay with Steve another contract. We get measured on performance. Does that make sense? Yeah. Mm-hmm. So my first ever Tony Robbins client didn't want to stay with me 4 sessions in, and I did the whole sales thing, like, hey, you know, do you want to re-enroll? And I remember he said to me, he goes, you're not a business coach. And to be honest, I cried. Like, I literally cried. Like, to become a coach with Tony, and I thought that was the end of my just beginning of the career. And where I lost was I believed him. Because in that moment, his state was more superior than me, and I lost. I fucking cried, right? And I cried, therefore I connived. You know? And if you think about it, to where I am today, and I say this with a humble heart, back to back, #1 coach in the world for Tony right now, right? It's only been a number of years since that conversation from that first client. What changed? I haven't started or sold the company, right? The strategies, Tony's strategies never changed. What changed was my state and my story. I needed to believe. And I remember the director of coaching, he said to me, Steve, do you believe you're a Tony Robbins coach? And if you don't believe, get the fuck out. Everyone was patting me on the back, right, for achieving it, but I didn't believe that I belonged there, that I was worthy enough, to be honest with you. So I couldn't coach. I couldn't make impact with people. I couldn't influence them because I didn't think I was capable. I had all the strategies. I was rookie of the year. I did all the stuff. I was top of my class. It didn't matter because my story didn't support my state. And to now today, Sylvie knows this, is one of my clients, he's in line to be the next heavyweight in the UFC. I don't really follow, you guys know UFC, yes? I don't really follow it that much. It's MMA fighting. I'm not a fighter. Been in a couple fights in my life, but I'm not a fighter. I don't know martial arts. But just think about that, meditate. I'm coaching the next heavyweight. What am I coaching him on? Am I coaching him on how to kickbox?
No.
What am I coaching him on?
State.
State. But in order for me to coach the guy on state, where does my state need to be? Fucking superior, next level. Write this down really quickly. To influence someone, to lead someone, you must have the superior state. You must have the superior state. Because, watch this. When two people come in contact with each other, yeah? When two people come in contact, and there's rapport, meaning a mutual level of love and respect, right? Two people are in rapport, there's love and respect. The one that has the superior state always wins. Always wins. So now when I get on a coaching call and I'm coaching these millionaires, I'm not a billionaire. I'm coaching these folks. And sometimes, like you talked about rituals, and Tony, when his first coaches academy Tony was training the first coaches, he said, you have to do your incantation before every coaching call. Sometimes Chris is doing vocal lessons right now because we do incantations, right? I still can get it, to be honest, I can still get into my head thinking, oh my God, I'm coaching this guy? What do I know about this? And if you're in your head, you're what? You're dead, you lost. I lost that call. That client will say, this guy can't coach me. I need a new coach. It happens. So I do my incantation, I get in state, and therefore, the strategy, it comes to me, it's available, and I have a great story, and everything comes together, and we influence. If you really think about it, that's selling. We call it serving. All selling is, write this down, all selling is a transference of state. It's a transference of state. That's all Tony is doing. Is why do people, Willard, God bless you, brother, how you doing?
Excellent.
Beautiful, thank you. That's all Tony's doing, is how does he create raving fans? People, he gives them a state experience. He gives them triad.
And when we say superior state, what we mean too is not superior like I'm
better
above
than
you.
No.
But it's like whatever state that I need to be in, whether it's love or certainty or whatever that is, my level of that state is high. Right? So it's not like I'm superior because I'm better, but it's I'm exercising my state to a level 10 or above. So like Steve said, I'm always going to show up and I've got the certainty with whatever I'm delivering or whatever I'm selling or serving or like whatever that is. oftentimes in the role that we're in, it's I'll have the superior state or the more intense state of my certainty and belief in the client than they do in that moment in themselves.
Yeah.
Tony reminds us, so he reminds us that he goes, Steve, like our role is to believe in people more than they believe in themselves. And I must, Chris has one, I must be fucked up because I got 2 coaches. I got 3, including a mentor coach.
I had 2, I'm down to 1 now.
So I have 3 coaches.
Well, yeah.
And it's all state work, to be honest. Like Tony's got 5 coaches. He too, like, and maybe we'll close with this. I don't know how we're doing for time.
You got another 2
You got
hours.
lots of time.
You have plenty of time.
Is this helpful?
Yes,
Yeah,
it
Yes.
beautiful.
Yes.
Your beautiful emotion. You guys have Christina too. Beautiful emotion. Yeah. Yeah. The story piece, you feel? Yeah.
It's great.
Yeah, it's everything,
It's
right?
a story. It's a story. It's like I have to come write the story, make my story.
You get to write the story. How beautiful is that?
I always thought I could come up with like my story. My story, my original story, or what I want my story, but not. I never thought about actually having to this. What do I want the story to be? Who do I want to become? And actually create this person, whoever I want to be. I lived in a fucked up state for a long time.
Sure.
So for the last year, I've been practicing with the trial, like, to be in a good state.
Yeah.
The strategies are there. Pick any book, any of the notebooks, and go over what it is in business or personal. The story is the one that keeps going in my head.
Yeah.
The other day, was it yesterday? Talking about it, and I always said, what were we saying? I don't remember. Something about it had to do with my children. And I like, why do I need my kids to accept me? It doesn't even make any sense, because we belong to them. But then I feel like I have done, something happened and I have not forgiven myself for what has happened, and that's what is keep going in my head.
Okay, so it doesn't matter, right? It doesn't matter why,
Right.
So she's going to tell us a story, right? Notice that? So she's going to tell us a story of why. She's going to explain why she does this. Who gives a shit, right?
Thank you.
Because the more,
Thank
right?
you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Because the more she's going to
Who
tell
gives
a
a
story, the more you tell that story, she's going to believe it more. It goes in your unconscious, subconscious, blah.
Yeah,
It's
I don't
gross,
wanna
right?
tell you
Shake
the
that
fucking
shit
story.
up.
I do not
so
wanna
fuck
tell you the
that.
fucking story.
Right. So what's the
Okay.
new story?
The new story.
Stand up. So stand up. Make your move. Shake your body out. Actually, everyone stand up for a moment. Get the energy shift a little bit. Right? So shake it out. 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 Right?
Yeah. The stories are fucking great, Mom, and I actually think that's absolutely right. And whatever has happened, it's gone, it's done, and I don't know what else I'm gonna fucking do, but I'm here right now.
Right
I'm
now.
gonna live in a beautiful state, and I'm gonna do the best that I can possibly do.
Beautiful. And how does that feel?
It feels awesome, because now I got all this shit out of my system, and I don't wanna tell the fucking story anymore.
Right.
I'm
So
done.
what's the new story?
My new story is that I am an amazing woman.
I am an amazing woman. Say that.
I am an amazing woman.
Say it again.
I'm an amazing woman.
Who else are you?
I'm a badass
I'm
woman.
a badass. How does that feel?
It feels awesome. It feels fucking good right here.
Feels fucking good. Who
Yeah.
else are you?
What else I am loving. I
Loving.
don't know, I'm beautiful. I am.
Yes.
Yes.
How do you feel right now?
I'm feeling good. I'm feeling peaceful.
Feeling peaceful.
Yeah.
So from this place, what is possible?
Everything.
Yeah.
Everything. I know know I can do everything. I have done everything. I can do anything I want.
So from this place, what is one small step that you can commit to?
Step I can commit to.
Get out of your head. Stay powerful. Stay powerful. What's one step? What's one step you can commit to?
The one step I can commit to is being more grateful.
Being more grateful.
Being more present.
Being more grateful. Being more present. Beautiful. How easy is that? It's easy. Right? What are you grateful for right now?
You. Here. Being here, actually. Being here. Being having this family.
Look at the love you have.
Love you.
Okay.
Feeling the love that is always here from everybody.
Yeah. It's always been here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It is. And
So when you go home, what physically can you do to get this feeling that you have right now?
shake it off.
Right?
Shake it off.
Yeah,
Shake
shake it off will help.
Shake it off.
Yes. What else?
Say incantation, good positive, good, stay around good people, positive. And meditate, be grateful always.
Incantation.
Incantation, be grateful.
Grateful.
Think about the good things. Think about the good things and not the bad things.
Yeah.
Think about the good. Find the good, not the bad.
Mm-hmm.
So the bad is always a good. So to do.
What is working is always available, as is what is not working.
Yeah.
So what do you want to choose to focus on?
And what's on the good, on what's
good.
working.
On the gratitude.
Yes.
On the gratitude.
On the gratitude.
Beautiful. So grab your notebook, and I want everyone to do this from this place that you're in. What do you want to commit to? From state, what do you want to commit to? When you return home, what do you want to commit to? And for Christina, she shared that she wants to focus more on gratitude, focus more on appreciation. Okay. Also, what are the rituals? So Kyle brought up rituals, right? So what